Welcome to this section of the Spirit Foundation Spirit Promoter course titled How It Works. The Spirit Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit that supports wounded heroes and veterans returning from war. Now, the Spirit Foundation is a U.S. Department of Energy Home Energy Score partner. The other company you're going to be dealing with is Spirit Technologies. Spirit Technologies is the contractor for Spirit Foundation. Here at www.thespiritfoundation.org, you'll see that the Spirit Foundation supports the Wounded Hero Project. And a little bit about the Wounded Hero Project. Spirit Foundation works with Wounded Hero battalions with the U.S. Armed Forces to assist veterans returning from war by giving them sustainable careers. The purpose of this module in the Spirit Promoter course is to help you get a better understanding of how the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver option is going to help increase your client's business. We're also going to talk about your role as a Spirit Promoter. One question you might be asking yourself is, what am I promoting? What product and what service am I bringing into the marketplace? As we like to say here at Spirit, you're offering your clients a solution. What solution are you offering? The solution you're going to be offering your clients is the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver Financing. Now, every time your clients use this financing solution, you are going to get compensated $100 for each closed application that your client submits. You're going to be able to offer your clients other products, other services, other solutions in the future. But the first step is the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver financing option. You're going to learn about the FHA Power Saver. Once you learn about it, you're going to understand the unique opportunity in the market for this type of financing option and its role that it will play in your client's business models. From there, you're going to learn how your career is going to grow with Spirit in 2015, including the Federal Housing Administration's announcement that's coming in 2015. So let's go ahead and get started. The Spirit Foundation, a U.S. Department of Energy Home Energy Score partner, how it works. And how it works for you as a Spirit promoter. Let's get started. First, let's talk about Bob. Bob is the owner of Bob's HVAC. That's heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Now, Bob, because you did your job, he's interested in the FHA financing option so that he can offer it to his customers. So let's go ahead and give it to Bob. There you go, Bob. Now, why would Bob ever be interested in the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver financing? Why would Bob switch over from what he's already been doing and what he's used to a new financing option that he's never heard of? Let's go ahead and ask Bob himself. Bob, what type of financing are you able to offer your customers at this point in time? In most cases, you're going to find that Bob's current financing option is a 12-month same as cash, meaning that there is 0% interest for 12 months when offering financing to his clients. So we're going to go ahead and take a look. On the left, you'll see Bob's current financing, and on the right, we're going to discuss the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver financing. Now, 12 months no interest on Bob's current financing, usually means that after the initial 12 months of initiating the financing, it goes from a 0% interest rate to anywhere between 17.99 to 26.99 interest after the first 12 months. The FHA Power Saver, it's a 4.99 to 9.99 fixed rate for as long as the financing is initiated. Bob's current financing has short financing terms, so in turn would make the month-to-month payment larger than a month-to-month payment on a financing option that has terms that can go up to 15 and up to 20 years. And Bob's current financing, a lot of times there's a minimum down payment that's required and also closing costs associated with initiating the financing. Whereas with the Federal Housing Administration Power Saver, the down payment and the closing costs are paid for by a federal grant. In most cases, all of the closing costs and in the entire down payment of initiating this financing is covered. Now, there's a limited amount of upgrades in Bob's current financing and is usually the manufacturer's financing. Whereas with the Power Saver, there's a list of 19 different types of approved upgrades that you can finance, with a potential to add more, and we'll get more into that later. With Bob's current financing, funds have to be used towards specific items that the financing was built around. However, with the Power Saver, funds are available for numerous home projects. Bob's current financing cannot write off the financing interest on the income taxes. Now, the Power Saver, it's a unique financing option because it's an FHA Title I loan, meaning the consumer can write off the financing interest on their income taxes. And that's a very powerful selling tool when talking about the Power Saver option. And we'll get more into that later, but it's something to keep in mind when discussing the Power Saver to your clients. The contractor on Bob's current financing, the 12 months same as cash, usually has to pay about 6 points to offer the financing to his customer, meaning the contractor is having to come out of pocket for offering his customer financing. But the Power Saver, there's no cost to Bob, no cost to the contractors to offer the financing, and more importantly, by using the Power Saver that the Spirit Foundation is offering, they are supporting wounded heroes and veterans through the Spirit Foundation. So we're going to talk about and show you how the Power Saver financing option is this red apple here in this sea of green apples. Let's go apples to apples with the Power Saver financing on the right and Bob's current financing on the left. So let's say that we have a 15-year financing term at a 6% fixed rate on the Power Saver side. And on the left, you've got a 12-month same as cash that after the 12 months, the interest rate goes up to 22%. What I want you to see on the left here is that in order for Bob's clients to prevent incurring this 22% interest rate, in order to pay off a $5,000 loan, they would have to pay $416 a month. $416 a month, that's the equivalent to a car payment with insurance, and perhaps 4 cell phone bills. Now, on this $416 a month, in order to prevent the 22% interest rate, in these types of financing options, there's going to be a minimum payment that has to be paid on the month-to-month payment. And in this scenario, we're going to say that it's a $200 a month minimum so that they do not default on the loan. That means that after 12 months, just making the minimum payment, you're looking at about $2,600 left after the initial 12 months. Meaning for the next 5 years at a 22% interest rate, whether the financing option has compound interest or an annual percentage rate, which is APR, we're going to use a rough estimate here at the bottom on the left. $7,027.04 would be the total interest paid after paying off this $2,600 after 12 months in the remaining 5 years with the 22% interest rate. Now, like I said, this is a rough estimate using the compound interest model, but the key point here is that the $7,027.04 cannot be written off on their income taxes. Whereas on the Power Saver financing, for 15 years, you've got a flat $42.19 a month that you'd be paying for this financing option. So $2,594 with 71 cents is going to be the total interest paid on this financing option. But it's an FHA Title I financing option. So what that means is that it's simple interest. And more importantly, you can write off the interest on your income taxes. Let's ask again. Why would Bob ever be interested in the FHA Power Saver financing? Bob is going to be interested in the FHA Power Saver financing because the FHA Power Saver will help Bob reach more customers. Now, Bob's going to have some questions about the FHA Power Saver program, such as how his clients can write off the interest on their income taxes. So your job is going to be to educate Bob, so much so that Bob has a clear-cut understanding about not only the ins and outs of the loans, but the different types of loans and the different types of customers that he can help with the Power Saver financing option. Now, what that means for you is that the better understanding that Bob has on the Power Saver, the more he's going to be able to offer the Power Saver financing option to families to help them with home projects. And every time Bob uses the Power Saver financing option, you are going to get paid $100 in compensation. So let's say we've got 4 Bobs. And here you've got an HVAC Bob, you've got an insulation Bob, you've got a solar Bob, and an appliance Bob. Let's say you've got 4 different contractors in 4 different companies. And you did your job, and you went out and you promoted the FHA Power Saver. Let's give it to him. There you go, Bobs. Let's say in 1 month, HVAC Bob used the Power Saver 3 times. Let's say Insulation Bob didn't use the Power Saver that month, but Solar Bob used it twice, and the Appliance Bob used 5 Power Savers. Well, as we discussed, your compensation for every time a contractor uses the Power Saver is $100. So what that means is that HVAC Bob on the left generated you $300 in income, where on the right, Appliance Bob generated you $500 in income. So that means that in this month, just from these 3 different contractors, from these 3 Bobs, you would generate $1,100 in income off them alone. So your job as a spirit promoter is not only to provide Bob with information on the Power Saver financing option, but to get creative on how to stay in touch with Bob to make sure he understands how to offer it to his clients. And this can range from everything from promotional material, handing him out new promotion material that comes out, inviting Bob to lunch, or maybe even a cup of coffee. You might sit inside of Bob's shop one day and talk about financing to his customers so that they better understand it. You might send Bob an email or a follow up phone call, or even a thank you card to keep Bob engaged to offer the Power Saver financing option to his customers. That's going to wrap it up here on the Spirit Foundation Spirit Promoter module titled How It Works. You now have a better understanding of the Power Saver financing option and its unique opportunity in the market, and how you can help contractors like Bob help out his customers.